Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of The Professional Fan. I am your host, Mike Antonis, the Professional Fan. And on tonight's edition, what else are we going to talk about? It's the Cleveland Browns head coaching search. Kevin Stefanski has been out of work, interviewing everywhere currently. And the Cleveland Browns have been looking for coaches in some places where are a little bit surprising and other places where not so surprising. So let's dive right into it. Some of the candidates already interviewed internally: Tommy Rees, Jim Schwartz, both have been interviewed to be promoted for the head coaching position of the Cleveland Browns. The Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator, previously under John Harbaugh, has also been interviewed for the defensive coordinator, head coaching position. Oh, sorry, just popped in, threw me off. Todd Monken, offensive coordinator of the Ravens, was previously with the Cleveland Browns, has interviewed for the head coaching position. Soon to follow, we have Jesse Minter scheduled for a head coaching interview. And I don't believe... Oh, and I'm forgetting one name. Dan Pincher, the Bengals offensive coordinator, has also been interviewed for the head coaching position. And it sounds like Mr. Harbaugh is going to be stepping in for a head coaching interview, possibly sometime next week. Joining me, I believe, is my the host of The Real, Joseph. Joseph, you're there?
I was just telling you, Dan Pitcher.
Pitcher.
Yeah, Dan Pitcher. Sorry, I didn't mean to pop in. I was actually editing something in the back. But yeah, well, welcome on into the Professional Fan, folks.
Yeah, welcome on in. And we're going to just get right into it. Paramjot's already in chat. What's up? How does one think Kevin's offense will help you win? LMAO, good luck to the team that hires him. One thing I will say, and I think we can get a little bit reflective, is Kevin Stefanski did bring a air of stability to the Browns in a point where the Cleveland Browns have not had a winning season or been stable in any which way for a very long time. Now, he did become stagnant. His offense became bad and just couldn't get over the hump. He kind of reminds me of like the JB Bickerstaff of the NFL. Like, he could get you out of the funk, but he can't get you much farther than that. And here, hope Kevin lands on his feet. He's a nice guy, great family guy. John said he wants his own GM if he wants the job. I saw that report too. That was from Grossi, I believe. It sounds like we're still scheduling an interview for him. So if we get the interview, at the end of the day, like, maybe he likes Andrew, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he wants to do we kick Andrew to the curb? I think that would be a bad practice. I think that would hurt the Browns more than it would help them. And that's not even just saying, like, yeah, Andrew's had mistakes in the past, but he has done enough. He has done enough to save his job. And if you just kick him to the curb because you're hiring a coach down the line, Harbaugh's going to retire eventually. Maybe you get rid of that GM, kind of will put a bad taste in the mouth of future GMs. So I don't know if I necessarily do that much. And here, obviously Harbaugh's the big name because he hasn't been on the market for 18 years. I still think there are other head coaching candidates that I would be happy with the Browns picking. I'd be cool with them. I'd be cool with them just promoting Jim Schwartz. I'd be cool with Shula. I don't think we have an interview scheduled with them. There's still some interest there.
They
Um,
can't schedule with him yet because he's in the playoffs still. So I think that
right.
until the I think the dead period's over the 19th.
Okay.
But to add to the Harbaugh thing, yeah, he wants his own GM. Basically, it sounds like he wants $10 million for his own staff, probably $20 million for his own paycheck, and then pretty much full control is what he wants.
Woo-wee.
So it's basically it's gonna be a Jimmy Haslam decision. Honestly, if Jimmy Haslam wants it, then that's probably what's gonna happen. I don't know what happens to Andrew Berry. Maybe that Mike. I thought about this earlier. Two things. I'm curious what you think. I'll throw you out some questions if you want.
Yeah.
Um, I still think it's interesting that those two had a separate press conference the day of the Kevin firing. That's one, and then two. Remember Mary Kay still put out that report that said they could re put Barry in a different role somewhere else. So maybe I don't know if Haslam believed in flexibility in case he thought this would happen. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, possible. And here, if that would, I mean, he would have to make it lucrative for Andrew as well, because I think Andrew is well respected and could get a job elsewhere. Um, so with Andrew specifically, it would have to be some sort of promotion, I would imagine, internally, and a raise, of course. Money talks, but yeah, I mean that's a possibility too. I mean, I wouldn't, as long as he's still involved in some which way or form, especially after this past year. But it's going to be a big draft, big off season for the Browns. So we,
Yeah, I just found that curious too that those two did a separate press conference the day of. Like, why not just do it together? Why did Jimmy have to do it 2 hours prior? You know what I mean? Like, maybe I guess you could say, oh, you want them both to have full talk, but Jimmy was very brief, Mike. I mean, you remember past press conferences when this shit happened, he would be up there for a while. He just talked in the lobby for 10 minutes to a couple questions bounce, and a lot of reporters thought that was odd.
yeah, I mean, I didn't really find it odd myself, just because they have had press conferences, like end of season specifically, beginning of season, they always usually speak separately. And I think they were just kind of trying to stick to that normal like formula, but that's just my analysis of it. Um, but at the same time, like very well could be. It was a little weird.
Well, let me
May
ask you
have to.
this. Let me ask you this though. Let's say he doesn't come here. What do you think of names? I heard some names connected, possibly Jeff Halfley, Chris Shula. You talk about Dan Pritchard, Mike McDaniels. I mean, who do you like from least to greatest of who you've heard?
From least to greatest, I'd probably go Shula one. I'm starting to hear they really like Minter, but I don't know how high I'd put him. Halfley, I guess I'd put two. Uh, um, Pincher, I'd put three, and then McDaniel four. I think McDaniel needs to be an OC again somewhere. And now here, if they wanted to hire Mike McDaniel as an OC, I don't think that would be a bad thing. I think he has the talent to be a really great coordinator. Um, he had amazing offenses with Kyle Shanahan. Even with just calling plays and play design with the Dolphins, the first uh, couple seasons, he was impressive. But he doesn't have that head coaching je ne sais quoi, if you will. Um, but I'd hire Mike McDaniel as an OC for sure. I think that's what most people would prefer to hire him as, just for his play design, and what he brings to the table in that atmosphere. You know.
What do you think of this theory? Let me ask you this. Since it's a professional fan, I want to know your opinion. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share.
Yes,
Um,
do that.
what do you think of? Because I heard that he was fired Monday, Harbaugh, and it came out Tuesday, and so the Browns in the and during that time, like they interviewed, requested an interview with Todd Monken and Durday, I believe his name. I can't remember
Arden
his name.
Durday.
Arden Durday, who both are obviously Monken was with Harbaugh, and that whole situation is kind of part of the reason why they parted ways because he didn't want to fire him. But also Durday is, I think, a Harbaugh guy too from the Ravens. So, do you think the Browns playing a little 4D chess there? What do you think? Because if
Um,
it happened Monday and then come out to Tuesday, people behind the scenes probably had to know, you know, Monday night, Tuesday morning.
right, and very well could be. I mean, um, because I
Because a
I
lot
don't
of
know
these
that.
head coaching hire, not cut you off, but a lot of times some of these head coaching interviews are really actual coordinator interviews. Happens all the
Right.
time.
Yeah, of course, and I think um, that's a very good analysis. I think that could be very true. Um, I think didn't they fire Monken technically when they fired Harbaugh, or no? Is he still
Uh,
technically employed by the Ravens?
he's still technically employed, but he's out of there.
Yeah, of course. Um,
So him and
yeah,
Lamar, I
so
heard, didn't speak
Monken,
for 4 months. So
right. So Monken wouldn't be hard to get if you wanted Arden as a DC for Harbaugh. Um, how that would probably go is he'd have to be the assistant head coach, kind of like what they did with Bubba. Um,
and that's maybe where that's where that 10 million, because $10 million for an assistant staff is a lot of money.
that is a lot of money. Um, but yeah, those are pretty hefty demands. I don't know. I'm still kind of, the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards Shula or keeping Jim Schwartz and just seeing what he can do. But I am tempted for another voice in the room, another culture kind of builder. I'm kind of worried how, not to say that Schwartz hasn't built a great culture on the defense, but why hasn't it seeped into other teams even though he's been in the room? Is something I'd worry about. Um, you know, if it's just more of the same. So that's why I'd like a outside voice. Harbaugh's my number one pick, but it all kind of depends. If some of the stuff like we're hearing behind the scenes, I mean, yeah, I think DC and Seattle's done a great job. Tom Monken runs a pretty solid offense, and it just
He
really
was
depends.
also here, and he was also here in 19. Number has a good
Yep,
relationship with
yeah,
ownership.
under Mr. Kitchens, which is crazy, but yeah, it all really depends on where they want to go with general manager and how that would all shake out. I think Harbaugh is interviewed with what, 5 teams at this point, 4 or 5 teams.
Well, he hasn't interviewed yet. He's taking a week off. I think he's waiting for to see if one of these teams that may lose this weekend opens up. He wants to see the whole landscape. So, and that's my whole thing. My next question for you. I mean, how long do you think you see this dragging out to? I think this can go into the Super Bowl, honestly.
I mean, there are so many head coaching vacancies. I mean, it feels like this is a one of the largest head coaching vacancies we've had in a while. I mean, let's see,
Well,
it's the
this is the
Cardinal.
first time you've had a guy like this on the market. This feels very Watson esque when that whole thing was going on with him.
Yeah, a little bit. And everybody's won Harbaugh. I hope it does. I hope it ends up better for whichever team gets Harbaugh. I hope it ends up better for their team than it did with Deshaun. But um, yeah, I mean, it could very well drag out. But there are going to be some teams that are going to start hiring coaches here soon because they want to get their candidate. And here, maybe some teams are like, oh, we're not going to get Harbaugh. We're just going to hire this guy because they're not going to be waiting like to hear back. You know what I mean? I just don't
Yeah.
want it. Might end up that Harbaugh is going to try and play some hardball, and some of these teams are just going to start hiring other dudes because they want to get this rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's going to depend. I mean, I think if you hire Harbaugh, it's probably going to happen championship weekend. So 2 weeks. And I think that's plenty of time. Maybe a week and a half, but I'll say 2 weeks. I think if we hire him, that's when it'll happen. But I think this is going to be, like I said, this reminds me a lot of 2022 with the Watson thing. How, initially everybody said he'd never come here, blah, blah, blah. And you read through all the smoke, and it was like, no, it's real. He could come here. And eventually he did. It just came down to Jimmy wanted to pay or not, and he did. This situation is the
Right.
same thing. So, you know, that's why I said, but let me ask you this. If Schwartz, let's say Schwartz, well, how realistic of an opportunity, realistic of a candidate do you think he actually is? Do you think it's just a courtesy thing? Because a lot of people think he has no shot. Like,
That's a shame. I hope that's not true. I think he's a very realistic candidate. I mean, he turned a defense that was, bottom 20. Um, Usually under Joe Woods. Joe Woods had that one year when it was top 5, but that was it. And just a defense that constantly underperformed helped them turn it into a consistent top 5 to top 10 defense, and also helped them just pick awesome talent. Mason Graham, Carson Schwessinger. I mean, he was one of the voices in that room asking for these guys. So maybe it's partially a courtesy, but if you're just asking me face value, is that a realistic option? I would say, yeah. I really do think it is, and it should be.
yeah, I know my guy Stump. He said that's what he would hire with Monken. He said if you put Stump and his head coach at Monken at OC, they win a division next year. That's what he said. So, and obviously he was in the building with both. But if he does take over, let's say, what OC do you think he would choose?
I don't know. I don't know his relationship with Tommy Reese, but I don't know if in that situation Tommy goes back to college for a head coaching position. Honestly, if Tommy wants to stay, I think he gets to stay. And then you just make Jason Tarver the DC, and then just kind of see how it goes from there. But and that's where I start to get wary, is I think if we promote from within, it's going to remain pretty similar,
Well, I think if he took over, two names I would keep an eye on is Ashton Grant, the quarterback's coach in New England, who a lot of people thought they should not have let out of the building, that they should have promoted. But Vrabel came here for 1 year and took it with him to New England, and look what he's done with the quarterback position there. I look at him, and then a guy who I know Stump said they should never let out of the building. When Callahan left, a lot of people thought Scott Peters should have got promoted. He ended up going down to Cincinnati. But that could be a guy maybe they could bring back as a full-time line coach, possibly.
Yeah, I mean that's very possible as well. I think that Scott Peters hasn't had exactly the best situation to deal with in Cincinnati. I think he's a much better coach than what that offensive line in Cincinnati's been producing.
Right. And I only bring those names up because if a lot of people in the building thought those guys were that good, I think Schwartz probably was in that same thinking, and he may consider bringing them back. It doesn't seem
Yeah,
like Kevin thought as highly of them.
right. And maybe he would. I hope he would, but I'm still, man. It's really hard for me to just be like, I think it just needs reset. Like, as much as I love Jim Schwartz, I would love just a new voice in the room. And I think it'd be really hard to do that if you start promoting internal guys. I think they're going to want to keep a lot of the guys that they've grown accustomed to. You know what I mean?
Definitely defensively. I think offensively, you're looking at a whole overall, no matter what. So, I mean, they're going to interview Tommy, obviously. How realistic do you think he's a candidate, Tommy Reed?
Tommy Reese, I don't think is a realistic candidate for the Cleveland Browns. I think he, he's really well respected. A lot of people in the NFL respect him. A lot of people in college respect him. They think he's the next great offensive mind. I think it's just too early. I think he needs a little bit more coordinating experience before we really start to consider that, or before any NFL team starts to consider that. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a head coaching job in college and then kind of ran with that for the time being. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Michigan still hasn't hired a head coach, so who knows? Could be Tommy Reese.
Oh, Michigan got Kenny Dillingham.
Oh, did they get Kenny Dillingham?
Yeah, that was
I'm not as
3 weeks
plugged in.
ago.
Oh my goodness.
You're probably the person that didn't know that. But no, there still could be a job that pops up. I don't think if he gets, unless Chris Shula comes here and gets a connection to Shula, I don't think he's going to be staying here unless he gets the job, which I don't think he is.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think he is either.
So I guess all that Tommy Reed smoke really wasn't, you know, it was. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be the head coach. I don't think he's gonna be back next year.
Right. Maybe they were trying to do him a favor with that smoke. You know what I mean? Like hype him up.
Possibly, maybe. But that might have been because you're right. Because that's a good point. Because I mean, there's other coaches that made comments in that article too. So it's probably the whole staff looking out for each other because they all knew they were getting out of here at the end of the year anyway. So, but Chad O'Shea, you bring him back, Mike?
No. Nope. I'm sending Chad O'Shea to the Shadow Realm.
All right, I know. I never knew the answer to that, but yeah, man. So I guess kind of wrap it up here. 'Cause, I mean, right now we're just kind of all sitting limbo, Mike, of what's going to happen. Where do you think this all goes? I mean, how's Jimmy's definitely a big player, Mike. He likes to go out and like some words, he swung and missed on Watson, but he likes to take big swings. I mean, how aggressive do you think he'll really go with Harbaugh, even if it could possibly mean AB either is demoted or possibly just let out the building?
I mean, I think he'll take a legitimate swing at him, but I also think that he'll be like, hey, would you consider keeping Andrew? Would you consider doing this, that, the other? I mean, they're going to try and see if there's any caveats at all. Maybe they even work out a bigger contract if he decides to take a couple more caveats, which is always a possibility. Like, the candidate's going to have his demands, the team is going to have their demands, and then they always end up meeting somewhere in the middle. But if you're just asking how big of a swing is Jimmy going to take at Harbaugh, I think he's going to give it a true college try and try and get this guy to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, they need to like, subscribe, and share, Mike, because when the news drops or any updates, I know this Sunday I'll be live. I mean, they better like, subscribe, and share because we'll be live reacting to it immediately.
Yes, we will, folks, and stay tuned with us through the playoffs. The Super Bowl this year lands on my birthday, which is a little wild. So birthday Super Bowl this year. My pick is the Seahawks and the Bills. I think the Bills are going to do it. And my playoff hot take is the Patriots get bounced in the first round. Those are some of my hot takes, some picks. What do you guys think? But yeah, like, subscribe, share this content if you can. We're going to be here throughout the entirety of the offseason for the draft, coaching search, all that. As soon as who do I have tonight? Indiana all the way. Future New York Jets quarterback Fernando Mendoza. You got Indiana too, Joseph?
Well, you guys heard it. Yeah, I'm gonna go Indiana. Although, I mean, I think Oregon. I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it'll be a down the wire game like last night. But yeah, I'll go Indiana. I like Cignetti's just got it right now. He just has it.
You know what Cignetti said? I win. Google me. I love that.
Yeah, like, subscribe, show, like, dip out of here, Mike. You take it away.
All right, folks. Yeah. Like, subscribe, share this content, all that good stuff. You heard Joseph. I know he was cutting out a little bit, or maybe I'm cutting out. Not entirely sure. But we love you very much. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please stay professional. Go Browns. God help us.